Hey, this is Waylon from Swiftwood Bows. Welcome to the final video.
So I've got all 8 coats of true oil on my bow, and a lot of people are perfectly fine leaving it like this. It's glossy, it's shiny, looks kind of like glass. Um, from a functional standpoint, this is a perfectly good finish, and you could leave it like this if you like the way it looks. But I'm going to show you how you can take a nice looking finish like this and make it really look nice. You know, no matter how careful you are when you're putting on the true oil, there's always going to be a little bit of dust that collects in it. There's going to be a little bit of grit. This is pretty good, but there's still little spots that are a little rough or whatever. The first thing I'm going to do is sand it down super smooth. I've got some 600 grit sandpaper here, and I've got some water. I'm going to do a wet sand, and it's going to make the finish really smooth, but it's going to make it really dull and kind of ugly looking. And then the next step is to polish it, and I'll show you how I do that. But to start with here, I'm just going to take my sandpaper and start sanding down the finish here. You want to be pretty careful about corners and edges. You can, if you're not careful, you can take off more finish than you'd like. I'm really not trying to take off any finish. I'm just trying to take that last outside layer of finish and get it smooth. So I'm going to be really careful here along my paint job and this corner here. If I'm not careful, I can take that off. But you want to be thorough. Make sure you get all the spots, pretty evenly. Got just a tiny little drip here on the end. It's an easy place to accidentally get a run. So I'm just gonna take that down just a hair to take the texture off of the run. And then when I polish it, you're not even going to notice it. Alright, so I don't know if you can appreciate the difference on the camera here, but you can see it doesn't look super nice when it's sanded down like this, but if you can feel it, it's incredibly smooth. All that little bits of dust and grit that got into the finish are gone. So I'm going to do the other side here, and then I will show you how I polish it up. Alright, I will get what I need to do the polishing step. and then we'll do that. I'll be right back. Alright, so now I've got this smooth, shiny, or smooth true oil that's not shiny, and I'm going to make it have a nice satin glow. It's not going to have that same high gloss that the regular true oil had, but I'm going to bring it up to a nice satin glow that I think looks much nicer. You know, I think the gloss can really kind of hide the beautiful details of the grain in the wood and the snakeskin pattern, just because it's so glaring. And if you're a hunter, you don't want to have that high gloss reflecting back at the animals anyway. So this is a nice compromise. It still kind of glows. It's not dull, but it's not also reflecting a bunch of light back in your face. So what I use is I make a slurry out of some oil. I just steal my wife's nice cooking oil, but it doesn't, better not drop my wife's cooking oil and break it. I'm going to set it down here. Doesn't have to be anything special. I mean, olive oil, cooking oil, whatever, just kind of, it's a medium for the pumice powder that I use. So I've just got some powder. You can buy pumice powder that's specifically for this sort of purpose, but I found a common household substitute that works just as well for me. We use this, it's like Bon Ami natural scrubbing cleanser. It's kind of like a natural version of, you know, Ajax or Comet. I don't recommend using those. They've got chemicals in them that may not be good for your finish, but this stuff is basically just like pumice powder. And so I just get a little bowl and pour in some oil and pour in some powder. I don't know that there's really a magic ratio. I like to get it kind of thick and pasty. But as long as you've got enough grit in there and it's not just all oil, you should be fine. Like, that's a pretty good consistency right there. And then I just use a little piece of old cloth and get some paste on the cloth, and then I just start buffing. I rub pretty hard back and forth, and you kind of got to stick with an area for a little bit before you move on, otherwise the results are going to be kind of patchy. I don't really know that you can overdo this. I mean, I guess it's possible that it could hurt the finish if you did it forever, but you know, I think you can do it pretty aggressively without worrying too much. If you've got, you know, full 8 or 9 coats of true oil on there, it's the sanding that you really have to watch out for. But take your time, make sure you're getting all the areas, make sure you're doing them equally well. Keep an eye out if there's little dips or character in your bow that you're getting down into the valleys and crevices as much as you are on the raised areas. Otherwise, you're going to have, you know, those areas might be shiny or they might be too dull because you didn't polish them enough. You want to watch out for that with the sandpaper too. You don't want to miss those areas with the sandpaper and then have them be glossy and the rest of the finish be satin. But this isn't rocket science. It's not super hard to do, and I think it would be kind of hard to mess up. Just be patient and be thorough, and it'll look good. And if, you know, you can always do it again if you need to, if you realize that you didn't quite do it enough your first time around. And like I said, I'm not gonna do the sanding process on the skins, but I am gonna do this to just knock some of that gloss off of there. But you'll really be amazed at how nice this finish looks when you're done with it compared to the straight Turoil. At least I like it better. Haven't done the sides yet, but I'm just going to kind of let you appreciate the difference. I don't know if the camera really picks it up or not, but I think it looks a lot nicer. Okay, I'm gonna wipe this off really well. I don't want to leave the residue on there. You want to get the oil off so you can really make sure that you've polished the actual finish and you're not just smearing some oil on there that looks shiny. You want to see if there's any flaws in the job that you did. Oh yeah, that looks so much nicer. So if you can see, the difference between that snake skin and that snake skin, this is just so much glossier and shinier. And here you can really appreciate the subtlety of the snake skins a lot better. And you could play around with different level, different grains of pumice powder. They make them, coarser or finer. So if you really wanted to play around with it, you could see, you could make it duller or you could make it shinier, depending on what you used. But this cleanser stuff really seems to be just about what I want to get out of it. So I'm going to do the other side. I'm not going to make you watch me polish this other side. You got the gist of it with this side. I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. Well, I've got the bow all finished up and it turned out really nice. I've got my leather handle wrap on here and strike plate, leather strike plate, and it's all polished up. And I thought I'd just send a few last arrows through it here while I still got it before I ship it out. Since the bow's set up for a right-hander and I'm left-hander, I'm just going to put a little guard on it here so that I don't scuff up the finish. Well, it shoots really great. I would take this bow elk hunting with me in a heartbeat. It's got a lot of power and very little hand shock. It turned out to be a really nice bow. I feel proud of it. I know there was probably a lot of little details that I missed along the way. I tried to cover as much as I could in the video, and I hope that what I showed you was helpful. And I will be doing more videos, you know, covering all sorts of aspects, hopefully covering some of the details that I didn't get to, like putting on a handle wrap and such. But I hope that I left you with enough that you can feel more successful tackling your own bow projects. And I'd love to see what you guys come up with. If you guys make some bows and learn something from my video and you want to share your work with me, I'd love to see what you come up with. Feels really good to share what I've learned, because I've had so many people share so freely with me, and I've really benefited from their help. So I'm just trying to pass it along and make the self-bow world a little bit better place. So thank you for watching my video. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I hope it was helpful. Take care and good luck with your own projects.